In this video, we're going to talk about the most silent yet powerful man in American history. He was only 5 feet 4 inches tall, frail, sickly-looking, introverted. Yet he stands at the forefront of the architects who built the system that keeps the United States standing today. James Madison. Most people only know him as the 4th president. But the truth is this: if Madison had not existed, the America we know today might not exist either. From a weak child to an architect of the state. James Madison was born on March 16, 1751, in Virginia, into a wealthy plantation family. He was fortunate financially, but not physically. From childhood, he suffered from seizure-like episodes. It is believed he may have had epilepsy, but there was never a clear diagnosis. He was constantly ill. His family even thought he might not live long. And the irony is this: that weak child designed one of the most powerful governmental systems in the world. From an early age, Madison buried himself in books. He learned Latin and Greek. He was obsessed with political philosophy. Montesquieu, Locke, Hume. He took notes for hours. While most young men of his time dreamed of horseback riding and duels, Madison was thinking about the separation of powers. This detail matters. He was not a war hero. He was a warrior of ideas. Madison attended Princeton University. He studied so intensely that after graduation, he suffered physical collapse. It is said he slept only 4 hours a night. What was the greatest skill he developed there? Disciplined thinking. The system of checks and balances used in America today did not appear overnight. Madison spent years wrestling with one core problem: power corrupts. And eventually, he focused on this question. If human nature is flawed, how can we design a government that isn't? That question carried him into history. The true architect of the Constitution, Philadelphia. The founding fathers gather, but there is chaos. The newly formed America is on the verge of falling apart. Madison arrives at the convention with more than 200 pages of preparation notes. Yes, 200 pages. Before the meetings even began, he already had a plan. The proposal known as the Virginia Plan became the foundation of the U.S. Constitution. That is why he earned the title, Father of the Constitution. But here's a magazine-worthy detail. Madison initially opposed the Bill of Rights. He thought it was unnecessary. Then he saw the public pressure. He pivoted, and he personally drafted the first 10 amendments. So today, Americans' freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to bear arms, those rights came from Madison's pen. This is what strategic thinking truly is: not resisting blindly, but changing direction at the right moment. Federalist Papers, hidden propaganda. Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay wrote 85 essays together. These writings became known as the Federalist Papers. But here's the intriguing part. They were published anonymously. They used a pseudonym, Publius. Why? Because they wanted to influence public opinion. They did not want it to be obvious that they were promoting a political agenda. What we now call political communication strategy was already being practiced. Madison is especially famous for Federalist Number 10. He argued that a large, extended republic would prevent factions, special interest groups, from taking over the government. The two-party structure and the federal-state balance in America today trace back to that idea. Marriage. Dolly Madison, the real social power. Now let's talk a little about the personal side. Madison married at age 43. His wife, Dolly Madison, was a star in Washington society. Dolly had been married before and had a son. Madison had no biological children of his own. Dolly became enormously influential in Madison's political life. She launched social diplomacy in the White House, dinners, receptions, carefully curated guest lists, and the most dramatic moment. In 1814, when the British burned Washington, Dolly rescued the portrait of George Washington from the White House. If that painting still exists today, it is because of her. Madison's quiet intellect combined with Dolly's social power. They became a leadership team. Presidency. The man in war. Madison became president in 1809. Shortly after, America entered the War of 1812 against Britain. During that war, the White House was burned. Madison became the only sitting U.S. president to go to an active battlefield. Think about that. An intellectual who wrote the Constitution, standing in a war zone. He was criticized, considered weak. But in the end, America preserved its independence. This period proved he was not just a theorist, but a leader willing to take risks when necessary. The contradiction of slavery. Madison wrote about liberty, yet he owned slaves. We cannot ignore this historical contradiction. He never took radical steps to abolish slavery entirely. However, he supported the American Colonization Society, advocating that freed slaves be sent to Africa. Today, that position is highly controversial. History is not black and white. Madison was not flawless. Contributions few talk about. He strongly defended the separation of church and state. He designed constitutional mechanisms to protect minority rights. He limited centralized power without collapsing the system. He opposed political parties, yet structured the system so that parties could exist without destroying it. If the American system still stands despite crises, the resilience of its design traces back to Madison. This is not a building, it is an algorithm, and it is still running. Madison was shy. He disliked public speaking. His voice was soft, but his writing was powerful. He possessed strategic patience. He was analytical, not emotional. He chose effectiveness over popularity. That is why his name is not as dramatic as Hamilton's, not as charismatic as Jefferson's, but he is the backbone of the system. Madison died on June 28, 1836, at age 85. He left no children, but he left a constitutional legacy. In his later years, he supported university founders and played a role in the development of the University of Virginia. He viewed education as the long-term insurance policy of a nation. He was forward-thinking. Madison, Hamilton, and Jefferson, the behind-the-scenes power struggle. Now we move backstage. Three of the most dangerous minds in American history sit at the same table: James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. At first, Madison and Hamilton were allies. They wrote the Federalist Papers together. They worked toward the same goal, a strong federal government. But then things changed. Hamilton became Secretary of the Treasury and began building America's financial system. A national bank, centralization of federal debt, an industrial-focused economy. Madison grew uneasy because, in his view, this system expanded centralized power too far, and a powerful central government could turn into tyranny. The break began there. The bank crisis, the first major fracture. Hamilton wanted to establish a national bank. Jefferson and Madison opposed it. Madison's argument was clear. The Constitution does not explicitly grant that power. Hamilton's response was strategic. The necessary and proper clause allows it. This was not merely a debate about a bank. It was a battle over how the Constitution should be interpreted. Strict interpretation or broad interpretation? The constitutional debates that still shape American politics today were born at that table, and Madison turned against his former ally. Secret newspaper wars. There was no social media at the time, but there were newspapers. Hamilton-aligned papers attacked Jefferson and Madison. Jefferson and Madison used supportive newspapers to attack Hamilton in return. It became personal. Hamilton viewed Madison as weak and inconsistent. Madison accused Hamilton of harboring monarchist ambitions. Some even believed Hamilton secretly favored a British-style strong executive. This was not just ideology. It was a war of visions. Hamilton, strong central power, strong economy, elite leadership. Jefferson, agrarian society, state power, popular democracy. Madison, systemic balance, control of factions, constitutional discipline. And Madison made a strategic move. The birth of the Republican Party. Madison and Jefferson helped launch the Democratic-Republican movement. Here's the irony. Madison opposed political parties, yet he helped create one to counter Hamilton. That move laid the groundwork for America's two-party system. Quiet tension with Jefferson. Madison and Jefferson were mostly allies, but there was a subtle balance of power between them. Jefferson was charismatic. His writing was romantic. Madison was technical. When Jefferson became president, he appointed Madison as Secretary of State. Yet behind the scenes, in constitutional matters, Madison often had the final word. During the Louisiana Purchase, even Jefferson hesitated constitutionally. Madison persuaded him toward a broader interpretation. The public saw Jefferson, but the strategic framework was often Madison's. Hamilton's death, the shift in balance. In 1804, Hamilton was killed in a duel with Aaron Burr. This was not just a death. It marked the weakening of the Federalist vision. Was it a relief for Madison? Historians debate that. But one fact is clear. When Hamilton left the stage, the Jefferson-Madison alliance strengthened. And a few years later, Madison became president. Hamilton built the financial system. Jefferson wrote the ideals of independence, but Madison locked in the system. Constitutional interpretation, party balance, federal-state power distribution. If today the president clashes with Congress, if the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution, if states challenge the federal government, history often remembers the most dramatic figures. But nations endure not because of drama, they endure because of system builders. Hamilton was fire, Jefferson was ideology, Madison was balance. And sometimes the greatest power is the one who controls the balance. Now let me ask you this, does a leader have to be physically imposing, loud, charismatic? James Madison was not. Yet the legal DNA of the United States came from his pen. And perhaps that is why the most dangerous power is the silent one. For more, subscribe to the channel and hit like, and even more powerful Fathers of History will be coming your way.